while we have a moment, I wanted to come back to something you had shared earlier, Jeselle. Thanks so much for sharing so candidly about your just like your mental health experiences during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I think and like just different things that we have maybe stopped doing or adjusted to. And yeah, are you able to share like how that experience was for you? Like what helped you kind of get through?
Sure. Well, to be very candid, what happened to me during COVID, because when COVID happened, it happened in New Rochelle, which is where I'm from. So where I live, my house was 8 houses away from the epicenter of the virus. And it was bugging me out that all of this was shutting down, yet I'd look out my window and nothing's happening. And it was hard for me to imagine, how can there be some epidemic happening or pandemic happening when I'm right here in the middle of it and I don't see anything going on? I don't see any ambulance, I don't see any sick people, I don't see anything. So that started to play in my head, and I went for a loop, and I lost my mental, and I ended up in a hospital for about 6 weeks. And during that time, it was like life had stopped for me. And once I got out, the only thing that was pushing me forward was my husband, because I have never gone through a hospital experience with somebody there. But this time my husband was there. He was a part of the process with me. And when I came out of the hospital, I just fell into a very deep depression. And I stopped wearing makeup, as I said. I stopped cooking, I stopped reading, I stopped writing. I stopped doing all of the things that was normal for me to do in my everyday life. And I would say that only now, it's taken 2 years for me to come to some solitude in this experience, because only now am I able to feel good again. I know what it feels like to feel good. And my medications are at a good place. So it was just a very rocky time for me. And it took about 2 years for me to find some solid ground.
Thanks for sharing, Jeselle.
Of course.
I know I definitely went through a period of, I went through a period of depression as well, kind of linking up to some difficulties with work, and then the pandemic and everything happening at the same time, and can definitely resonate with just like a support system. And Matthew and my husband was here, and Evelyn, we were in Nairobi at the time, were all really foundational and helpful in, helping us get through. And I think, I'm reading French now. I think, having support systems are so important during difficult times, and the pandemic in many different ways has affected all of us. And yeah, I think definitely as Black women, this is not a conversation that we often have. And there's this assumption of oh yeah, you're strong.
You're strong all the time.
Yeah.
No, we're not strong all the time.
Yeah, and it's okay to have those moments where we're not. And so, and I think even for me, for me to kind of lean into the difficulty that I was going through was also even just hard for me. And so just taking that time to embrace this period of, that period of my life, and just okay, this is where I'm at, and it's okay. And it can be hard of how we the pressure that we put on ourselves, and then the pressure that, just society puts on Black women.
It's interesting, Alice, that you brought up pressure, because we do put pressure on ourselves. And after COVID happened, I was putting pressure on myself to be better. But once I started noticing that I was getting better, I took all pressure off. And that's why I didn't go back to anything that I was doing. It's because I don't want pressure. So it's interesting to be putting pressure on yourself, and then to be taking the pressure off of yourself and what that looks like. You know?
And just I think this is important because I think in the pandemic in a way has really shed a light on mental health in general and like made it okay for everyone to talk about mental health in a way that it wasn't before. And I think what you said about pressure is very important, that sometimes we put the pressure on ourselves, sometimes society puts it on us to be a certain way. And when you have that pressure off, it's just a different person, and it's a bit more freeing. I'll just say this in French while I'm talking then. Thank you, Evelyn, for translating in there. But j'étais en train de dire, en fait, c'est intéressant qu'à cause de la pandémie, il y a eu une certaine ouverture par rapport à la santé émotionnelle et mentale. Il y a eu une nouvelle discussion à la page que les gens maintenant arrivent à parler de ça, alors qu'auparavant, c'était un peu un sujet assez tabou. Et qu'on arrive à partager ici, par exemple, les pressions qui sont mises par la communauté, mais les pressions que nous-mêmes nous mettons sur nous-mêmes. Comme Jeselle disait qu'elle avait mis une certaine pression sur elle, mais quand elle allait mieux, elle a vraiment laissé tomber la pression et ça l'a libérée. Et vraiment, c'est un changement. Et comme Alice disait, parfois, on s'attend toujours à ce que nous soyons toujours fortes, mais on est humaine et parfois, c'est OK d'avoir besoin d'un soutien et de ne pas être OK et forte pour tout le monde.
Something about the society putting pressure on you. Those of us who grew up in Africa know that the woman is supposed to be strong. So that is in some part of Africa, for example, they will, how can I say, your parents will not be happy if you cry giving birth. It's a sign of weakness. You shouldn't be crying. You will have an aunt yelling, screaming at you. Don't put shame onto the family. You're supposed to be strong and you're supposed to handle pain. So when you grew up with that, you have the weight of everybody on you. And it's become difficult when you go to the Western world to sometimes let it go. And I have people saying to us a couple of times that, oh, you African women, you are too lenient. You let things pass. You're not supposed to do this and that. So it's the culture. It takes a while to get it off your system.
Thank you so much, Mama Lucy. I think also, Jeselle, I appreciate so much you sharing the story of actually seeking treatment and taking meds. I think for the African context, this is also something that's stigmatized and very rare that we can openly say like, yes, I'm depressed or I have bipolar disorder and I'm going to see a doctor, I'm getting counseling and taking medication. Particularly on this continent, it's still quite rare for people to come out and share that journey. And of course, there's the same, pressure of like childbirth. You're not allowed to shout in the hospital, but also you're not allowed to go and say you're, getting treatment. That basically people take it from 0 to 100, like, oh, this person needs to go to a hospital, like mental psych place for the rest of their life. They're not well. So there's a lot of stigma. So I just appreciate you sharing your journey.
Thank you. I didn't have a choice to get treatment. My husband took me, and it was a fight for me to stay there. But once you're in that waiting room and they take you in to evaluate you, you can't leave,
Donc, pour traduire, je crois, Mama Lucy, elle a partagé... Ah, Lucy, go ahead, on y va.
Non, vas-y, Evelyne.
Mama Lucy, elle a partagé la différence ici en Afrique avec la manière que nous, les femmes, nous devons être très fortes toutefois, même pendant l'accouchement. Et nous ne devons pas crier, tout ça. Donc, il y a beaucoup de la pression comme ça qui existe pour nous ici. Et moi, j'étais en train de partager l'histoire de Jeselle. Elle a partagé, elle a eu des défis avec sa le soin mental et elle a pris les médicaments, elle était à l'hôpital et en même temps, ici en Afrique, c'est très, très rare que quelqu'un peut partager, voilà, j'ai eu des défis avec ma santé mentale et j'ai pris les médicaments et j'ai vu un médecin. C'est vraiment quelque chose qui n'est pas souvent que les personnes voudraient partager à cause de la discrimination que nous avons ici en Afrique. Donc, nous sommes juste en train de vous remercier, Jeselle, pour en partager ton histoire. Et yeah, si vous avez une histoire qui est similaire à raconter, n'hésitez pas à partager.
Thank you, Mama Lucy, for your comments. Also, I think I definitely felt some of that as well with when I had my kids in Zambia, and there's a lot of like expectation and pressure to, yeah, like how we hold ourselves during difficult experiences like childbirth, even from, you know, like the healthcare workers themselves. And it's just, you know, this kind of like toughen up, and it's I mean, you know, it's like a whole new experience. And so yeah, thank you for sharing your comments. I agree. I think a lot of this stuff is cultural as well, that we kind of pass on because you're also doing what you were told or what was told, you know, by your aunties or in your, you know, so kind of like we continue to pass on this message. And I'm curious how, if anyone has suggestions or ideas on how we can, you know, start to change the outlook, or like for young Black women who are growing up, and even on the continent, like wherever you're growing up, like how to make it okay to talk about the difficult things and the strong things, and that, you know, we can be all of these things at the same time.
And just actually to do a link between that, because I was having a conversation about this recently, the fact that people don't know this whole not acknowledging the pain of Black women is a real thing in the United States as well, which is why there's a big issue when we're talking about health in the US. I don't have the statistic off the top of my head, but the US having a high, like, you know, maternal death rate, right? For a country that's supposed to be a Western, more developed country, the rates are still high, specifically within the Black female population in the US.
In the UK.
It's the same in the UK, yeah.
For every one woman that dies in childbirth, every one white woman, there's 5 Black women in the UK that die in childbirth.
I did not know that statistic.
Yeah, to answer your question, Alice, how can we get this kind of conversation out there for more people? I think that the conversation has to continue. Like, we've had the conversation here, we can share it with somebody that we know, you know, and like leave tidbits of information in that conversation that is worth sharing, you know, so that people, so it just kind of trickles, this word of mouth effect to put light on things that are, you know, not often talked about.
Yeah, definitely. I recently did a, just thinking back to, like, even though we are, you know, I don't know actually how old everybody is, but at least my New Rochelle crew here, we're like 1999. Oh, sorry, I messaged Lisa by accident, but I was saying, I was just writing in the chat in response to Lucy's comment. Like, for me at the time, there was a potential option for us to have the kids in the United States, but that was part of the reasoning as well, to have the kids in Zambia, just to not be kind of part of the institutionalized healthcare system there, and the challenges there, particularly as a Black woman having kids. And so we ended up having them in Zambia, in addition to also just like the support that I knew I wanted to have in Zambia. So we're in the Dominican Republic here, and just thinking about how, in as much as like these conversations are also really helpful, and we can, it's like helpful to continue to share for and provide like an example or model for younger Black women. I feel like for me, at least, it's helpful. It's like a healing process for me, and like my inner girl child is always, it's like continues to be, I don't know, a bit like let go, and like a lot of the pressures that I also had in my childhood, it's like I can continue to kind of like shed that as well, even though I'm a grown woman with kids now. With you, yes.
Chicken looks yummy. I saw Jeselle stirring the pot. Wow.
Yes, I just added some thyme to mine. I forgot.
Okay, we're gonna go add thyme too.
Yeah, I love thyme. It's my favorite spice.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't have any time. I have chia seeds though.
Mama, you're supposed to be on it.
What other secret spices are you adding over there?
Shadow Benny. And this
What?
should have been done a while ago, but I completely forgot. I didn't take it out of the fridge.
Sorry, Jeselle, what are you adding?
I'm adding Shadow Benny. It's a Caribbean spice. It's like a green leaf. I'll show you in a second.
This is optional for the rest of us.
This is optional.
Is it like a curry or cumin or
It's like a cilantro.
Okay,
a
it's
cilantro?
green,
Oh, I have
right?
Tanya.
This is it. Can you see?
Oh, it's a much thicker, it's like a wider leaf than I was expecting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like cilantro, you know, is so much more small.
No, the
but
taste is like cilantro.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's much more
It has
leafy.
I can't explain the taste, but it's very pungent.
Can we use cilantro to replace?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Lisa, do you have Dania?
I actually have to go into the garden to get some, so I will have to step
Ooh,
away.
fancy.
Yeah, I'm getting it fresh.
Nice.
We just tasted ours again, and
These girls can't wait to eat.
we gotta taste and make sure it's coming along.
Alice, did you taste your gravy?
I did before, but I'm inspired by Lucy and crew to taste again, so I shall.
Okay, I tasted it. Jesus.
Right?
I guess the fast is not going to happen till tomorrow. Jeselle, do you ever add like a Scotch bonnet?
Yeah, you could do that. You could either put it whole and let it simmer and let the juice from it, like, you know, kind of get in there, or you could cut it and let it get hot.
I'm gonna leave it whole so I can get little man to eat some.
Yep. So did anyone figure out that herb Jeselle add what is the translation? It's like a cilantro, but do we have that type of herb? I couldn't spell
Cilantro
it.
is coriander.
I'm trying, can someone type the name for me so I will check and see if we have it in the tropics?
Oh, c'est coriandre, c'est le coriandre.
Coriander, coriander.
Ah, c'est du coriandre qu'elle a dit.
Oui, oui.
Okay.
Ouais. C'est les Américains qui disent cilantro, but
Non,
les Européens, les
c'est pas du
Britanniques, oui,
cilantro.
coriander.
It's not
No.
cilantro. She said
No,
it's
it's
like.
It's called
something
Shadow
else.
Benny.
Yeah.
It's
Comment ça
called
s'appelle?
Shadow Benny. It has a flavor profile of cilantro.
Yes.
There is another herb that is similar to it, which is called culantro. That's what Spanish people call it.
Ah.
Okay.
In the Caribbean, we call it Shadow
So
Benny.
what is the name?
Shadow Benny.
Can somebody type it? I think that Shadow Benny.
Okay.
I don't know if that's how you spell it, but
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 2 N's.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So it is cilantro.
There you go.
Okay. That's
No,
nice.
Mom, it's not cilantro. It's
Someone
culantro.
type-
It's different.
Someone typed in the chat, Shadow Benny parenthesis.
So, I just checked my chicken and the potatoes have cooked. So I'm gonna put it on very low heat now just to keep it warm, but otherwise it's done.
So how's everyone doing? Everyone's chicken is also, or your potatoes are cooked? I'm gonna check mine now.
Yeah, basically, it is.
So Jeselle, in many of our cooking series, we talk about gender norms in the kitchen. And I was curious about what it was like growing up in your house and just the culture in TNT around women. You know, are men encouraged to cook and be in the kitchen?
I believe that they are. Caribbean men in particular are taught to cook. Do they like a woman that cooks? Of course they do, but they can also handle themselves. Growing up in my household, the roles were reversed 100%. My mom, she was the workhorse. She was at work every day. Like, she was a nurse, so she only worked 3 or 4 days a week, but she was always working overtime. So she would be out of the house 5, 6 days out of the week. And my dad was the one that cooked. So he had the role of the woman. He cooked, he cleaned, he took care of me. So it was very different in my household in comparison to other people's households where the mother was the one that was like the nurturer and the person who cooked and cleaned and took care of the kids. So it was different for me. And, you know, my dad taught me to cook. And I think that that is the reason why I love to cook, because growing up, I would sit in the kitchen and he wouldn't let me touch any of the pots. Like, I couldn't even put my hand on the lid. If I put my hand on the lid, I'm getting smacked, you know? And it's like, all he would do was when he was cooking, he would take the spoon and well, first of all, he would show me all the spices that he was using. So every time he added something to the meat or to the pot, he would show me. He's like, this is garlic. This is what I'm doing, you know? And he had tons of spices. And then when he would go in the pot, he would take a little of the sauce and just dip it in my hand, in my palm, for me to taste it. And that was kind of how I got my feel around the kitchen. He didn't let me start cooking for myself till I was almost a teenager. So yeah, it was different. And my mom, to this day, she still doesn't cook much. And if she does cook, she cooks the same thing. She cooks soup. She cooks rice out of the box. Like, she can't cook. But she used to cook when she was a kid. When she was a kid, she used to cook for like her family early morning. She had to wake up and make roti for her family. But coming over here, she worked too much. You're on mute, Evelyn.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm having a chat with my son.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I think that happens to us, a lot of us, especially with working moms. Our dads are more hands-on, and yeah, then there just becomes like this idea that men don't cook or can't cook. But, you know, even for someone who, like myself, my father is Gambian and he cooks. He taught me how to cook, and both of my parents worked. And so I think sometimes there's like confusion around the gender norms. So yeah, so can Bowie cook?
Yes, he can cook.
Oh, nice.
So this past 2 years, when I've not been holding it down, he's been holding it down.
Awesome.
I remember the first meal that he shared with me. He made fish, like fish stew. And when I tasted it, I was like, oh my God, this man can cook. And he only gave me a little bit. And I'm like, can I get some more, please?
Is that how he romanced you?
He's not romantic. Let's not go there. He's not romantic.
don't know. But boys' defense and on the record, that's a good move to like cook for, to cook for someone. I think that counts for sure.
Yeah.
How much more time are we watching we're just waiting for the chicken to cook now, yeah?
As long as the potatoes have cooked, this should be good.
Okay, cool.
You put potatoes in, Alice?
Yeah, I put potato and carrot.
Okay, are they cooked?
I think so. My potato definitely was, so I'm feeling good about that.
Okay, so then you can take it off the stove.
So just turn it off?
Mama, it was Jeselle, are you back to work now? Yeah. Or the people are still in remote working? Am I on mute, Jeselle?
No, you're not on mute. I didn't hear what you said.
I said, are you back to work? How is the situation there? People are...
Yeah, I'm back to work. Masks are still required. We had, for the month of January, we were working remotely because about 5 or 6 people in my office had contracted COVID. So they put us remote and we just went back in February.
And it's actually mom asking that question has just reminded me, I guess, how grateful it is to have technology, because on this call, we have people on so many different continents, because we're in Togo, she's in Amsterdam, we've got people in the Dominican Republic, in Kenya, and in the US, and where else? I'm curious to see.
Ghana.
Where?
Ghana.
Ghana. Hey, neighbor.
Hi. Inflation in this country is high.
We had a meetup yesterday here in Nairobi, the West Africans, and we went to a Ghanaian restaurant called the Golden Stool. So we were so excited. Everyone was like, I haven't had such good food in Kenya. No offense to Lisa or Kenyans. So Akwaba, Ghanaian food is bomb.
Akwaba. You know how West Africans and East African get about food. There's competition there.
I'm not sure there's competition. I don't think there's any competition.
Wait. West Africa wins.
I don't even know what to say. So.
Conversation ends with a jollof rice cooking war conversation, which is the West African has to.
well, apparently West African can agree on we've got good food, and then we squabble about the jollof rice.
Yeah. Italian jollof is the best.
Yes.
Of course.
People are coming on video.
Uh-oh.
Hi. So I'm actually here with my students and they would like to say hi.
She's a student. Are you a teacher?
Yes, I'm a Spanish teacher.
Oh, I'm a teacher.
Hola.
Hi.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
Okay.
Are you in Ghana?
Yeah, we're in Ghana.
Oh, wow. Are you in Accra?
Yeah. No, we are in Cape Coast.
Oh, yeah.
You're Cape Coast.
Yeah.
You're in Cape Coast.
I'm from Takoradi. Yeah, my dad is from Takoradi, so not far.
But we could have been having Spanish translation as well. I should have been practicing that.
You would have done an excellent
Ahora podemos hablar en español, si quieres.
Sí,
por supuesto.
sí, vamos. Yes, Alice, in the DR.
Pardon me. Hi, I didn't hear what you said.
So I
What?
just want,
Like you said something I didn't hear, so I wanted you to repeat it.
Alice, you.
I think it was that Alice is in the DR. thing.
Okay. She's
Oh,
in
yes.
the Dominican Republic.
I'm in the Dominican Republic right now, so I'm practicing my Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're in a very small town and like everybody really only speaks Spanish. We're forced to communicate in Spanish, but it's nice to practice.
It's fine. I'm kind of laughing.
I'm happy to hear the Spanish in Ghana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
it's so
always
nice.
very upset when I speak French. So
Did you just talk about shito? Because I have homemade shito. I was thinking about Evelyn when I had that.
Oh my gosh, Lucy, yesterday in that restaurant, I was like, this is not the real shito. This is not hot enough. Bring me some more.
Shito.
Yes, I have some shito homemade.
I had Cheetos. What is Shito?
It's a Ghanaian pepper sauce.
Pepper.
Actually, Karine, is it Karine?
Yeah.
She can tell us what is the magic ingredients in shito?
So for shito, we use dried shrimps and then dried powdered fish. Yes. What's the fish? It's smoked fish. Yes, we use smoked fish. And then a lot of pepper. You have to use a lot of pepper, a lot of powdered pepper. And then you can include meat sometimes. Yes, that's how we do it over here. So it's basically a lot of oil. Then when the oil heats up, you can add a little onion to it. Yeah, that's it. So they have shito.
Oh, that's there.
Yeah. So it's a lot of oil. You added some onions, some chopped onions. Then you add the powdered fish and then the powdered shrimps. Yes, and then you just wait until it's cooked. That's how we make it. And it's actually quite. You can store it for at least 6 months. Yes, as long as 6 months, and it doesn't go bad.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think it's a keep pictures. No. So that's it, basically.
So the children, the students, did you cook along with us? Did you learn the recipe?
We wrote the recipe down, so we are yet to practice it on Monday.
Okay.
Yes.
You
and
have to send us pictures of how it turns out.
Sure, we will. We will. Why are you so happy? Yes, we will. We will. We sure will.
So,
Yeah. And we have Elisa here. She also wants to say hi.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Elisa. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Nice to
you.
meet you.
Okay.
I guess it was better.
I told you guys.
Having fun.
Yeah,
So,
they're having
is everybody plating now? Is anyone eating now? Or
I'm
soon?
about to serve my 10-year-old son, Kojo, some dinner.
Hi, Coco.
Oh.
Hey, Kojo.
So she had
Hi,
Hi,
Kojo.
Kojo.
Hi.
I'm waiting for people to invent teleporting so Jeselle can send some of the food to me. Things are changing with technology. Pretty soon I'll push a button and that food will get to me.
Oh, that sounds.
All the kids are coming out now that the food is ready.
And now that they see their friend Kojo. Kojo, we'll do a call with you soon.
All right, so let me go try and plate one at least
Yeah.
so we can show it. We're gonna go try and plate one so we can share what it looks like before we devour it.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you guys are plating and getting ready to eat, and yeah, just before we close, thanks so much, Jeselle, for taking us through this recipe. I don't know if anyone in your different cultures, like if you have any like food that's associated with different ceremonies. So I know like for Carnival, there's a whole thing, Jeselle, you can share, like
Corn
you're like
soup.
cooking the night before, right?
You make corn soup. You make corn soup. You make saltfish so that you have that prepared for the early morning when you go out for Juve. Juve is when you wake up with the sun. You start at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and you bang your pots. You get mud and you get paint on you and you jump up with the trucks and you do that until the sun comes up.
Awesome.
Yes.
So yeah, to start partying, basically.
Yeah, you have to eat before you party. And then when you finish partying, you get doubles and pulari, which is another good breakfast food.
Oh, nice. There's a lot of Indian influence there, right?
Yes, a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
My mother is
I can't
actually
think of,
Indian.
I was going to say, I can't think of a food that we have for a particular occasion, but I know for parties, for instance, for a lot of West Africans, by the end of the party around 4 a.m., 5 a.m., when people are getting really tired, we have pepper soup, like goat pepper soup or something. Basically, the idea is to kind of wake you up so you get a new lease of life and you continue partying until like 9 a.m. or whatever. So pepper soup is like a party food, like end
What
of
is
the party
pepper
food.
soup?
Pepper soup is basically a tomato base, but it's Scotch bonnet pepper, so it's very hot. So we make the broth either, if you're going to use goat meat, then you boil the goat meat, you add your blended onions or your cut onions and Scotch bonnet pepper. So it's very, very hot. And then you add fresh tomatoes and just let it kind of simmer. And we tend to use like thyme as well, or, you know, other seasoning. But, you know, it's a very hot, it's a sobering soup. We even have, so when you're sick, you can have fish pepper soup, which is also very good for sick. It's the equivalent of American's chicken soup, I guess. For us, pepper soup is what you take when you're ill. Fish pepper soup usually. Yeah.
Mara, be careful. You're signing up for our next session.
Let's see. Oh, I see Kojo's food looks good. Okay. Is that a Scotch bonnet pepper you put on top of it?
It's not his plate.
I was gonna say,
But
that's
it's
hot pepper.
Yeah.
Did you put gravy on the rice?
Actually, it's like pretty dry. Yeah, so I feel like my gravy is kind of, it's like caramelized almost, like
okay.
And then
A nice little addition to that, if you guys have, is some avocado.
Ooh. Kojo's like, yes. Is it like a garnish?
Yeah. A lot of Caribbeans put avocado on the side of most dishes.
Nice.
Awesome. I will be adding avocado. We just got some yesterday.
Oh, perfect.
For us in Zambia, I can't think of a party food other than meat. Like you go, like, you know, late nights after party, you like go and you
meat pie.
You meat. Yeah, like you go and you have meat or like steak or something.
Or shawarma.
Or shawarma.
Lonchia, what is that? What are you thinking of? Zambian food?
I'm agreeing. Anything to do with meat or like sausage or like T-bone, like just meat. Meat in general, Zambians love meat. Like to nibble on, to eat, anything. Yeah, it's big.
We also have like another food thing that's tied to a ceremonies around.
No, it's tied to meat.
Is around weddings. And in that situation, we do what's called a mativeto, which is where you share like the food. You're kind of giving thanks to the groom side for taking care of your daughter. Traditionally, like after the wedding, after you've been married for some time. But that whole process is a lot of cooking the night before. A lot of the women all get together and you're cooking all night, and in the morning or in the afternoon when you finish. There is a lot of meat as well. And you take the food to the husband's side. Okay, I'm muting now.
And sorry, I stepped away for a little bit to plate, but we have someone on the call from Togo, so I was gonna ask her to share if she wanted to. Fekondine, I don't know if you wanna share something you do around ceremonies here. Si tu es à l'aise de le faire, de partager quels sont les plats spéciaux au Togo ou du moins dans ta famille pour les cérémonies. Si tu es à l'aise de le faire en français ou en anglais.
Ok, merci beaucoup. D'abord, je pense qu'il y a une de nos consoeurs qui a également parlé du pepper soup. Quand elle a parlé de ça, je me disais qu'au fait, nous avons les mêmes réalités. Il y a cette soupe-là, cette sauce qu'on fait avec la tomate et beaucoup d'oignons, comme elle a dit, beaucoup de piment. Et c'est souvent aussi utilisé, souvent pendant les fêtes et tout. Oui. Ah, comme c'est joli là-bas.
Merci.
Oui.
Merci, Fekondine. So Fekondine was sharing that we have a lot of similarities. The pepe soup and the soups with onions and tomatoes are something that is done here in Togo as well. And Korea and I are also sharing how our turns turned out. Mm-hmm. We just plated it. Jeselle, does this look right?
It does. You got good color on yours.
Yeah.
It's pretty brown.
Okay, perfect. Because we're like, is it supposed to be this brown? It looks good.
Yeah. That looks good.
All right. We'll probably eat it soon. Yeah. We're ready with our plates here.
Nice. Yeah, you guys got good color.
Yay. Perfect. Yay. All right. Well, I'll turn it off and I'll just.
Jeselle, it's totally approved here.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's packaging and selling adolescents.
Lisa too.
It's so good.
That's
very good.
Lisa, how is yours?
Please take pictures of your plates before you start eating.
I was pretty liberal with the chili, so it's pretty tough to get through, but it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I really like it.
This was so cool. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Jeselle.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much, Jeselle. Let us know how Bowie enjoys it. And it'd be cool one day to even have this with a man as well and see, you know.
Oh, he could make his stew beef. He makes a beef stew, which is so nice, but it takes a few hours to cook. So maybe that's not the best thing to make. Yeah. But he can make
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Please email us your pictures of your food and we'll let you know when the next one is. We're gonna plate up soon after I make the couscous.
Nice. Enjoy, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Enjoy. Don't forget to check out our website.